Yo guys, what is going on? It's Galj here with another Magic the Gathering video. Right now we're gonna be talking about Sultai Crimes. I went to my local store with this deck and I went 4-0. So I wanted to talk about the deck itself and tell you guys tips and tricks that I actually kind of learned throughout and why I'm playing this deck. So I had three. The first round was a bye, but I did go 3-0 against two Azorious Oculus decks and one, I want to say it was Golgari mid-range. I wasn't sure if he was playing demons or not. I didn't get that far. Just again, I curved out really nicely and it just kind of ended the game really quickly. But anyways, let me show you guys the deck. Here it is. So we are running 4 copies of Llanowar Elf. Once I realized that this card was being reprinted, I knew that this deck was going to get a little bit better. I was already playing a previous version of this deck with different cards, but once you have a turn 1 Llanowar Elf into a Glissa or Gix or Free Strider Lookout, you are pretty much set. Those are pretty good starting hands. You also see that I have a 1-off vacuum, and that's because our deck revolves about committing crimes. So even though it looks kind of out of place and it's usually a sideboard card, it does help the deck a lot, especially against matchups like the Azorious Oculus, because we're always exiling their targets, we're always exiling their instants and sorceries from the graveyard so that their Genie or their Oculus is kind of obsolete. Now you will also see the Keen Eye Curator as a 2-off, and that's because it's a 3/3, which is really good against mono red, even just a body and just taking, you know, the burn spell, or it's also really good against the Azorious Oculus, or just any deck that revolves around graveyard shenanigans. We have some removal in the form of Go for the Throat and Bitter Triumph. We also have Hand Hate with the bat, the Deep Cavern Bat, just because again it does target, so it does commit a crime. And my favorite line of play is turn 1 Llanowar Elf, turn 2 Freebooter Lookout, into turn 3 Kaito. So Kaito, if you guys don't know what this one does, I know it's the older version, it's not the newer one, but his +1 makes it so that one of your opponent's creatures can't attack or block until your next turn, and that also targets, which then gives you a mana ramp on turn 4 or turn 3 to try to get into the range of the next drop is Liliana, or you know, if you're getting behind somehow, you are board wiping, or you're playing Vivian. And yeah, so the deck revolves around obviously just committing crimes, and every single card that you see here commits a crime. Even Glissa, whenever she hits an opponent, you can remove counters. Even if the permanent doesn't have counters, you're still targeting it. So it does that. It also removes enchantments from the field, and on top of that, it lets you draw cards. So yeah, guys, on top of that, you can also play the Phyrexian Flesh Gorger on 3 if that's what you want to do. I mean, you obviously on 7 is better because it's a 7/5 with lifelink, but even on 3, it doesn't die to Go for the Throat, it doesn't die to that other spell that, you know, cares about power and toughness 5 or less. I always forget the name of that card. But yeah, so this is a pretty decent deck. If you're trying to beat the Oculus deck, this is probably the best thing you can do, because on the sideboard we have a couple cards that also kind of help us well, with another 2 copies of Ghost Vacuum, another copy of the Keen Eye Curator, which actually I'm not running here. I'm running that in the standard deck, and then we have Snake Skill Veil, sorry, and that's for, again, it's really good against the Oculus deck because they're trying to bounce your stuff. It's really good against Golgari, because they play a lot of removal, and it's really good against just anything that targets your stuff. Like even the Enchantress deck is pretty good against, because they try to target it with with the ghost thing, and then you just prevent that. You have no order runs because there are some spells that do make your opponents have hexproof, but this card is pretty good. It also targets. It gives them -3/3. Pretty good against aggro. Pretty good against kind of mid range. Like Glissa mirrors. And then going forward, you basically all your opponent's stuff doesn't have hexproof, and it can be targeted. We have some Withering Torments for against enchantments such as the Demon. The Unholy Annex is pretty good right now as well. So you destroy that, but you also have Vivian Reeds in there. Shoot the Sheriff for more removal. One of my favorite cards right now is Malicious Eclipse. I saw somebody else playing it on YouTube. I don't remember who it was, but I think this card is pretty good. It's really good against aggro. It exiles, so the creatures don't trigger when they die. You're also kind of, again, if you're getting behind, it just kind of gets you caught up in most cases. But then you also have one more copy of Harvester of Misery, which is also kind of the same thing as a board wipe. It doesn't actually exile the creatures, but it does give them -2/2. So if you're gonna take some damage from the mice, then you're gonna take less damage because it does give them -2/2, and the game state will check what the last known power was. So yeah, so this helps a lot. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for watching the video, and if you did like it and you find it informative, please make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you check out the next ones. Bye.